Welcome back to Open Line. We are talking affordable housing tonight with two great experts. Ed and Mick are here with us, who have been co-chairs of the Mayor's Affordable Housing Task Force. Put that report out, those recommendations. You said some of the boxes are already being checked, but also it's going to take all of us willing to stand in those gaps and say, this is important in my community, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I think, you know, the one thing about the report, it's a document, right? And it is one that is meant to be digestible across all spectrums, but really it's a call to action. It's meant to catalyze. I think that true partnership, as we were just saying there, can happen between the private sector, the communities, the community organizations, and really just people pressing forward with that as a need. Hopefully it equips them with a lot more information to do so. It's not meant to be boring or dull. like our conversation tonight, hopefully it's lively. It's clearly a big topic. And so it's meant to give people a little bit more information on how we got here, technically some of the challenges that we're facing, but also recommendations and to build promise of a greater effort and hope that we can accomplish that objective.
And I think it's something I don't think it's necessarily unique to Middle Tennessee, but I really do think you see it here, is that each little community within Davidson County, or even when you look at the broader mid-state, has its own personality and also its own needs and what will work and what won't work. And if you don't have community members standing up and saying, this is my community, I know it, then other people are going to make those decisions for you, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so then what becomes really tricky is how do we know that we have people moving here? I think the latest numbers I heard from the Chamber of Commerce, you know, it's not quite 100 people moving here a day, it's only 75.
Only.
And so we know people are coming and we know they're going to tie up our interstates. We know that they're going to be living somewhere. It's how do we incorporate our new neighbors in a way that works for everyone? And so what are the key opportunities for increasing housing? And one of those ones, we don't point to it directly, but other reports like this one have, is along those corridors. You know, we have those single-story retail, you know, maybe 3 out of the 5 of them actually have an operating business in them. They might be really great opportunities where we can increase the capacity of the city to house the people who want to live here, and because it's a great city, you can blame them. But also, you know, keep the feel of Nashville, not changing too dramatically. Cities are going to change. They've always changed. We don't want them to be stuck in amber. That's not what we want either. That's going the wrong direction. But a way of incorporating these people that are moving here, and you know, kids that are growing up here that are going to need to move out on their own at some point. And finding a place for them to live too.
You know, I think you bring up such a good point, is that nobody is digging their heels in saying we don't want any change. Keep those tall and skinnies, you know, away from us. But we have to move forward in a smart way. That works for everybody. One of the recommendations, and you said this kind of gets in the weeds a little bit, but I do want to dive into it, is expand payment in lieu of taxes programs. And again, that may be something that people are like, you're going to give tax breaks to somebody. What is that?
So the reason the word expand, there's currently a payment in lieu of taxes program called a pilot program, and that's available for affordable housing developments that get state and federal tax credits, and that's really important. Without that pilot, those affordable housing developments would not only pay like the typical property taxes that everyone else pays, but actually more, because they get taxed on the value of the tax credits that go and help fund the creation of that housing to make it at lower rent. So they get penalized for creating housing that's more affordable to Nashvillians. So that's our existing pilot that's run really well by MDHA right now. What the city is working on now is, wouldn't it be great to help catalyze more affordable housing without necessarily needing to write a check like through the Barnes Fund, which has its own place, where we can say, hey, we're not going to reduce the taxes on this particular parcel, but if you're going to give us, you know, 20, 30, 40 new units of affordable housing, we're not going to charge you full freight when you're already giving something to the community. Can we negotiate something up front that's a fair deal for both sides, that says, hey, developer, if you give us, you know, these however many affordable units in your mixed income development, we'll give you a slight break on property taxes to help the numbers all work and make that happen, because otherwise we're just not going to have a place to live for the so many Nashvillians that help make the city run.
If you have a developer who can build tall and skinnies or whatever, you know, until the cows come home, they're going to do that unless there's a reason for them not to, right?
Exactly.
And I love Mick's point. And I think one of the charges I think I had going in was we make very strong economic development deals, right? We use these tools to bring jobs. I said, why can't we look at those same deals, scratch out jobs, and put units, affordable units, right? You roll out the red carpet for organizations that are going to bring 500, 1,000 jobs, but those people have to live somewhere, and their families, you know. But those jobs are seen as a valuable service, bringing those to the city because they stimulate the economy and so on and so forth. Same thing happens with units, right? Especially affordable units, which we need. So let's use and leverage some of those deal structure, you know, those strategies when talking to affordable housing developers and affordable housing institutions.
Yeah, and I think right now, maybe 10, 15 years ago, we felt like we needed more jobs. Right now, I don't think we need more. I mean, I think employers have a hard time filling the jobs that they have right now. This is what I keep hearing across the board. What we need is housing units for people to come live here affordably, so that they make working those jobs coming into the city makes sense. So it kind of maybe makes sense to use that old economic development sort of mindset.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's got to come here,
exactly.
right? We got to balance those scales a little bit. I want to go back to where we first started, as we tend to wrap this thing up in the next minute and a half. Why invest this time? Why invest your talents in doing this? Why is it important to you?
So really quickly, I'm a product of an affordable housing model that's successful. The Housing Fund has a shared equity program that allowed me to buy my first home. Which allowed me to have an affordable home, which allowed me to invest in my business because I wasn't overly burdened, pay student loan debt, which a lot of people have now, and to build a successful business. And for me, it's deeply rooted that every home, every unit creates that possibility or opportunity for the next person. Generationally changing families. So for me, it's just I've experienced it and I know the value.
And for me, I came from sort of a social work kind of background and working with families that would be having a hard time in a variety of ways. One of the things that just struck me is if their place to live was just a little bit more affordable, that have so many more resources to invest in their own household, their own families, but they're struggling either, you know, with stress or having to work, you know, 12, 16 hours or travel for jobs. And so this can be the foundation of family and households.
Yeah, there certainly is, we all know this, a trickle down. When you are financially stressed, it's going to affect your entire life in some way. It just kind of seeps in throughout the family. Well, gosh, I appreciate your knowledge and your expertise and your time, gentlemen. Thank you so much for spending the hour with us.
Thank you for having us.
It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome. We're going to wrap things up right when we come back. I'll tell you what's in store the rest of the week. Stay with us.